Hello, everybody. This is Tina Mello. For those that are going to be watching this that have not seen me before, and if you're sharing my videos, I'm an advocate, a child's advocate for since 2014. And before that, way before that, I was a fashion designer. Graduated from RISD and had a very successful career in the fashion industry, and life was going great. I used to travel to Hong Kong and Taiwan and Korea for business because I was a sweater and a cut and sew, which is knitwear designer, for very big companies in New York. And so my life was great, you know, just pursuing my passion, being creative all day long, 7 days a week, traveling, which I love, getting to go to Paris and Milan and do shopping trips and cover shows and Prima Vision. And then one day I met this person that wanted to get introduced to me. It's not like in a club called 1997. Our agent for one of the companies I was working for, Bonaventure Textiles, said, "Oh, this Dominic Kufner, the son of Kufner Textile, wants to meet you." And I thought to myself, why? I'm like, why? Oh, interlining. I'm like, well, what do I need an interlining for? I'm a sweater designer. We don't use interlining. And, so, well, that's how it started. And then 6 years later, I remember the first thing he said to me was like, out of the blue, "This is very strange," which is something that we're starting to find out, that the Illuminati or anybody cultish, they always tell you the truth. And then, because they don't want karma or some reason, that's why the media and all that stuff, they do these movies in Hollywood, they pretty much expose what they're doing so that by the time the media or the masses catch up, they think it's actually a movie and it's not real because it was in the movies. So I have not watched this. It was on Netflix, but literally everything that was in a horror show or something like that on Netflix, it literally is an example of what really is happening out there. I mean, these people are very sick, narcissistic sociopaths. They were destroyed as a child by their parents. They've been groomed. I mean, there's been really satanic, sick, sexual pedophilia in the family, all kinds of very sick stuff that goes on. And so, unfortunately, fortunately, I never grew up in this, but it also made me naive to the fact that that stuff exists. So, from light to dark, from dark to light, this person named Dominic Kufner actually said to me, out of the blue, you just meet someone on a business trip, "Well, my father sexually abused me and my sister, Tanya Kufner, and that he gained custody away from my mother because he hired a good Octon, a doctor, a psychiatrist, very famous in Munich, to write a psychological evaluation," which is in German Gutachten, "that my father would be the better parent." So because the mother probably ended up going through what I did, they empty out the bank accounts. Before you know it, you're literally like penniless and you're getting eviction notices and you have no idea what's going on. But they've planned this since the day one. Said to me that this good Octon gave custody to his father, Sepp Kufner of Kufner Textilwerke, and among others that they've bought out all over the world. But in the end, they're not competitors. They just get all owned, but they keep the name. He sexually abused me and my sister and gained custody. And I thought, that is really strange that somebody who I don't know is telling me something like this. And I'm thinking to myself, what does that mean? I'm like, I couldn't even imagine what that was like. Like, I just dumbfounded. I mean, I was only 26. Never thought that I would ever see this person again. But lo and behold, the next day I ran into him twice in the middle of Hong Kong. One on a subway. So it was actually very obvious that he was stalking me already. But, you're young, you don't really realize, you think, oh, wow, that's strange. Maybe it's, I don't know, meant to be. Well, anyways, not that I was ever interested in him. Not my type. But he pursued me for the next 6 years until I finally agreed to marry him. And then right away he was like, relocate to Munich and then, start getting adopted into this family, which I never knew was a pedophilia family. And of course, he's got friends in high places. and we all know that. But they're all part of the same satanic ritual, cultic bloodlines. They're puppets, probably just soldiers, because they're definitely not in the higher elite echelon. Just the lower level, like the Rockefellers and the Rothschilds and DuPonts and people like that, hired guns to do their bidding. So it's very obvious now to me, and many people who have been doing research into all this, the QAnon and Anonymous and where we go on, we go all. But it's sad that these people are so demented and so brainwashed, and that he was able to go judge shopping, trap me in the U.S. during my 2-week vacation, get to buy a judge off, Judge Smith, and about 6 law firms with little old me. He knew exactly where that trip was canceled from the Christmas vacation and had to switch it over, and he had been trying to block me from going to the States the second time during the separation. We weren't even divorced yet. So he went judge shopping, found a corrupt judge, William E. Smith from the United States Federal District Court of Rhode Island, and 6 law firms to sit there and create a fake kidnapping, that I kidnapped my kids, yet I have custody of my children. He spoke to them on the way over on the plane, knew exactly where I was going, had been notified like 6 months earlier of this trip. But he knew at that time I wasn't legally represented because I still couldn't find someone who spoke English. And that was process cost in Helfa, which is free, pro bono, because he emptied out the bank account, so he had no money. So this is very important, because if you look online, you see this case, Kufner versus Kufner, you will see he literally, of course, when you buy a judge off, they write whatever order you want. And of course, the guardian ad litem, which is an attorney, Sharon O'Keefe, she was assigned to write this 49-page opinion and order, and the judges signed it. I mean, literally, the judge didn't do anything but just sit there and just, practice off the bench. When I did find, of course, they trapped us. He already issued orders before I even knew what had happened. 6 days in, I get orders already signed and delivered at my mother's door, and we're going, what is going on here? Delivered by two retired FBI agents. They sat in their car with another car with 2 other men in front of my parents' house for 6 weeks straight, literally terrorizing, harassing, stalking, literally panicking my elderly family, my handicapped sister Susie, my grandmother. I mean, to the point of it's stalking. It's that targeting, stalking. I mean, it's emotionally, it's psycho attack. And I was already being attacked in Munich for a year earlier. I mean, he was sending me messages like, this is how narcissists work. They're like, well, you should do this. And I'm at a party with friends. I have no idea what he's sending me messages. Well, you can't be doing. It's almost like he's talking to someone else, yet he's accusing me of doing something that he's actually doing. And I've been watching these videos on narcissism, and it's amazing how they always accuse you of what they themselves are doing. He said, I put all the furniture and piled it up, and I set it on fire like a big bonfire. I'm like, what's he talking about? And you think he's losing his mind, but yet they're trying to make you look like you're losing your mind. And then, of course, they start accusing you're being crazy and all that. But yet, at that point, they are driving you crazy. They're driving you mad because they're psychologically, it's a psychological attack, and then, so in 6 weeks, I find myself caught up in this Hague Convention of International Child Trafficking, and the only reason why he did that was judge shopping, because the German court would refuse to give him custody of my kids. 1 whole year before that, he was constantly bombarding the courts with documents and motions, and they were just going. But I'm getting copies of this in German, and I'm going, I can't read it. I mean, come on, you even get in English, you get a legal document, you can't even understand it. Imagine I can't even understand and read German well at all, but yet he's telling them I don't need a translator. Okay, it's legal documents. Lawyers can't even interpret. They can't even read English properly, let alone trying to interpret German legal into an English, because the laws are actually very different. They're not the same. They can't be interpreted the same. Yet this is what they were trying to do. So I have physical custody. I end up getting another physical custody in the States, a temporary, even restraining order against him, because I brought pictures with me. Pictures that had kept me for at least 6 months with no sleep. They were images of my sons, naked, close-up of their anals and their penises, and my kids were saying he was hurting them with his camera, and he was literally grooming them for child porn. And I spoke to a lot of pedophile experts, and they said this is what they do. They groom them. Then I found pictures of them sucking on, the soccer game. That soccer game they used to turn. He made them suck on the players. And then there's pictures that I found that were where he took my sleeping children, placed them in a blanket like babies almost, like 2 or 3, on their blankets in the bottom of a shower. And then he was taking pictures of them above it while they were waking up. And they were like what's going on? Like a child's like, what the heck am I doing? This is like sick. Sick. Yet these people walk around, do business as normal people, yet nobody understands that they're literally sick people, like mentally psychopathic. Like, they don't understand narcissistic people is not about just being grandiose. There is another form of a narcissist that they will attack their victims. He already had made sure that all my friends were receiving messages from me by email that he was writing it with my name on it, yet I wasn't writing them, to piss them all off. So by the time this whole thing, the attack came on full strong, like, hi, let's be friends. I go, what do you mean, let's be friends? This is how he decided to leave me. Let's be friends? Can we talk about the fact that you were planning a divorce since the day I met you? That I was just used to bear 2 children, boys, and then you were going to do the same thing your father did to your mother to me. Yet he promised he would never do that. So, yeah, it's just, God, Tammy and I, so many mothers out there, we have literally learned so much, only because we never gave up. We never gave up. So, yeah, lo and behold, there's a gag order during this Hague Kufner versus Kufner 07046S. I was sitting there watching this, and I thought, I was in a show. I'm like, why are they all being nice to each other? They're now treating him like they're giving him like the red carpet treatment. I go, there's pictures, my lawyer that I found pro bono, who came from the missing and exploited children, because I called them in emergency going, what's going on? Literally, but they're also covering up for the pedophilia, so you can't trust them. Can't trust the DOJ, couldn't trust the FBI, because they wouldn't even let me in. I was trying to, and actually I got punished by the judge trying to get to the FBI. He retaliated against me because I'm trying to prove that my sons are being sexually abused. They told me. The signs are there. The doctors. Matthias suffered an injury, unexplained injury to his legs. The part, I have all the proof, but yet every time those 2 retired FBI agents from PROBA, Investigative Services, the receipts are online. You can go to the court. He sued me for legal fees so I know exactly who he paid, how much he paid, because that shows you how sick these people really are. Because he won, he charged me the bill. Yet I'm not even in the country, and they're issuing orders. You're not even, no due process. What's due process anymore in this country? They literally just go to a court, say, here, judge, sign it, and the judge knows you don't have a lawyer, doesn't even know if you have a lawyer. He admits it on the court docket. Does she even have a lawyer? Oh, but, just write up the order and I'll just sign it. Charles Temiletsky, yeah, former Attorney General, 16 years. So he made sure that he hired the best to make sure that what was going to go down was going to go down and hidden from everyone. And then, of course, he brainwashes my children as soon as he gets a gag order of temporary custody. So I'm not even notified that he's received a temporary custody during a Hague Convention. Hague Convention of International Child Trafficking. It clearly states only a parent that has sole custody, physical, which is me, can file under the Hague of child kidnapping. Okay, he didn't have that. Dominic Kufner only had an order from a German court every 14 days for 3.5 days. Visitation. They lived with me. He had them every 14 days for 4 days, or 3 to 4 days. So, how does a judge in the United States, without a custody order, allow a case of international child trafficking, kidnapping, because kidnapping, get accused of the mother who has sole custody, and then on top of it, I get a temporary restraining order and custody order from the family court in Rhode Island because I ran to the Cumberland Police Department. And I showed them 3 of these big sets of child porn of my kids, taken by the father because he actually admitted under oath. In Germany, he wasn't admitting he took them. They were being sent by fax in black and white. I mean, who can see that? So no court there got it. No police, anybody saw it in Germany before my trip. And he's saying, oh, I've been investigated. I was investigated in Germany. Guess what? Hello, Judge Smith, and all you 6 law firms. No, he wasn't. And of course, I'm sitting here traumatized, and I'm looking bad in court, which is most of these women who have gone through a nightmare of knowing that their kids are in danger. We look like that. Sorry, but get with the program here, okay? You apparently are uneducated. You have no idea how to practice law. We know who's paying your bills, and we know who you work for. You do not work for the American people. You do not follow the Constitution. You work for the deep state. You work for the elite. You work for the Europeans. Because we know now the courts are not run by common law, which is constitutional. But back then, we thought there was justice. We thought there's a rule of law. We thought you would follow the law books. But apparently you violated the Hague Convention because it says a parent who does not have physical custody cannot file under the Hague. Sorry, Judge Smith. And you know very well you did this. And it's also, it says, you violated another part of the Hague, is that it's not to be abused to gain custody. So what did you do? Well, you did. You actually gagged secretly a temporary custody, not even sole, temporary, from me to Dominic Kufner. And you gagged that. So I wouldn't even know that you were doing it. I wasn't allowed to be told, even though I fired those lawyers that I found out because they were already bought off. I mean, it's pretty simple when you have $500 million. I caught Charles Timmelevitz in the office with Barry Pollock. I walked in on it, didn't expect me to be showing up. And of course he had to close the door really quick so I didn't see that he was having a private meeting without my knowledge. I'm the client, yet he's in there having a private meeting. So of course I knew that was over. So yeah, that's why I fired him in your courtroom that day. But of course it didn't really matter, did it? Because you were already paid off and bought off to help in this international child trafficking of my sons and to hide the child porn, because you did send it to the FBI in Boston and you asked them to find out if I already had snuck in a way to find those pictures to someone at least honest at the FBI office in Boston. So they checked and they sent you back a paper that said we have checked and it has not been identified. In other words, I haven't reported it yet. So guess what? You were covered, protected, and that part was blocked. Because when I did try to go back there years later, they heard my name and they said they weren't allowed to take a report from me. Yeah. So it's very deep. And my case, like Tammy Reeves' case and so many other cases out there, I mean, you literally got the police involved, the DOJ, the FBI local. You got everybody in all levels of government. You all got friends. You make a call. You say, look, got a very expensive client here. How much you want to keep his secret? So how much did it cost that company? I don't know. Quite a bit. Because I can see there were $400 an hour, $500, $600 an hour bills. So to make a long story short, yeah, they created this opinion and order from Judge Smith. I arrive at the Mercy Mounts. I was forced to put my kids in school. And then, of course, he goes back to Germany, Dominic, and says, oh, but she put the kids in school. That means that's a valid that she's kidnapping my sons. Because, look, she put them in the school. I'm like, but you see how they can twist stories around from one country to another. I mean, literally, he filed the moment I was on that plane, he knew I was going on a 2-week vacation. Judge Smith is the one who issued orders 6 days after I arrived, telling me I cannot go 50 feet away from the house. I cannot travel outside the state with my children. And that I have to hand over my children's American passports, which, by the way, I had already protected them from falling into his hands for over a year prior to that as under the Passport Protection Program of the United States. So, Judge Smith, you violated that too. My children's U.S. passports were being protected for over a year before you got your hands on them. And I'm being told by the lawyer, that pro bono lawyer who was given to me by the Missing and Exploited Children, which is another cover-up place to protect the elite, to do what you said. So, of course, instead of saying that it's bogus and that it should be dismissed, he played along with this charade for 6 weeks, long enough for you to give my children over with their passports, prevented me and my children from getting on the plane, flying back to Germany in time for his visitation rights. That's the whole story. This is the truth about Kufner. And then, of course, you'd say that I need an evaluation. Why? Because the father says so? What, does he have a degree in psychology? I don't think so. Nobody said that. Nobody ever said, no, the only person that needs a psychological evaluation is you, Judge Smith, for the fact that you were looking at child porn of my children, that the attorneys were all passing it around, that you sent it to Dr. Carol Jenny at Hasbro Hospital like she's the ICAC, the Internet Crimes Against Children. That is who everyone should have contacted the moment you knew about those pictures. Those are the criminal authorities that should have got their hands on it, and that should have been a criminal case, not a civil case. And the Cumberland police should have contacted them immediately instead of waking up a judge, issuing a restraining order and a custody order immediately, because they were so horrified by those 3 photos. That was enough to give them nightmares. So all of you that were involved in the Kufner versus Kufner, every single lawyer that is listed on the docket, you all were aiding and abetting in international child trafficking and child pornography distribution, possession, and you were all looking at it, and you could actually go to sleep at night. Most people who saw those pictures, you can't sleep for at least 2 or 3 months. You have nightmares. So that means that you are all either pedophilia or you're just so greedy with money that you're willing to let 2 children get sexually abused, brainwashed by it when they came back. He told them I was dead. Literally told them I was dead because he planned on making sure I would never, ever surface again. And by saying he would never keep the children away from me, oh my God, that is like the oldest thing in the book, trick in the book. Whatever they say they're planning on not doing, that is exactly what they do. And yes, he prevented me from seeing them. Even though there's no order. There is no order in either country to say I'm not allowed to see my children. Even to the point of restoring my custody again. But you know what he did? He went back there and he absolutely prevented me from seeing. And when I did try to knock on the door, to see my children, he actually called the police and told them I was trying to break in. Me, a 5-foot person, just knocking on the door to see my children, which I have a right to, of course. He says I was trying to break in. And here I am, full blown, knowing that now I've got a police in Munich who says, yes, those pictures are child porn, I'm sorry. And then I go find more. They weren't the only pictures he took, sorry. He took other pictures of other children on our vacation. All he did was focus on naked children on the beach. No adult pictures. That was not his focus of this camera. He's sick, perverted, pedophilia. He was raped by his father, groomed to be a pedophile, then had children and could not keep his hands off them. And of course, now they probably don't even remember because they do stop at a certain age. But he does have the drugs to knock them out, because my son was definitely given some kind of drug, because he told me that he was given drugs, vitamins that he didn't want to take. So, of course, he drugged them up while all this was happening, because that's what they do to these children, so they don't remember. But I can tell you right now, he kept them from seeing me, although there's no order in either country preventing me from seeing him. But yet, every time I tried to even go to a court with any lawyer that was willing to help me, just to force a judge to make an order, to force him to do something that he was doing that he wasn't allowed by law to do, is to alienate a parent. So now we got the term alienation. Alienation, it's actually an offense that is something that needs to be now put in the books, because no parent has a right to alienate the child from the other parent. But yet that's what he was trying to say I was doing to him. Yet he was seeing the kids every 14 days. So, sorry, but the only person that alienated anyone was him. He alienated me from my sons to the point where he had enough time to brainwash them, tell them I stole their money, their college fund, and that he's poor. Please, anybody in their right mind can look up on the line, Kufner Textile, Chinsel and Kufner, now Hama. I mean, anybody with half a brain can actually look up the company. There's no poverty here, sweetie. He was a multimillionaire before this started. He didn't go poor. My own sons are brainwashed to the point where they think I am a horrible person. I don't know whether it's Dominic Kufner sending me this message through Instagram from Matthias or from Joseph, but it's full of rage. It's toxic. I've shared it with people who were part of this, watched this whole thing happen, and was with me. I was not alone. They told me this is so full of rage. It's toxic. Don't respond. They're either so brainwashed, they've been so groomed, he's got them, or it's him speaking on their behalf, because of course he does have access to their accounts. I'm sure he's like, oh, I'm a bit concerned. Yeah, right. He controls everything. He could have written it himself. I don't know. I just don't know. But the way they speak to me, the messages I did receive, they're not my sons. They referred to me as my first name. They said that I was trying to destroy their family. I'm like their family. I'm like, your family. I'm like, excuse me, what am I, chopped liver? No, actually, I am your family. The mothers are the family. I'm the one who bore you. He was just the seed. He's not your family. He's the kidnapper. Dominic Kufner, his father, and Tanya Kufner are very sick, sexually abused, pedophilia, narcissistic psychopaths who are really good at lying, manipulating, and even if they're so good that they could convince a lawyer, once those lawyers saw those images of what he did to my children, sorry, can't be that manipulative, because once you see him, you walk away, honey. Normal people with normal human beings would have walked away and probably called the police on him. So, otherwise, that wouldn't have happened. So, yeah, that's my case in a nutshell. So, I was prevented from seeing them, speaking to them, writing letters. I wanted to send him a chemistry set. He wrote to the court saying that I was an alchemist. What's an alchemist now? Now I send a chemistry set? Something that's so innocent, because I knew my son Matthias was into science, robotics, and Joseph was a builder. He likes to build. Very good with the Rubik's Cube. And I already had taught them since they were born to read and write before they were in school. I had my own Montessori. So all this stuff was just so shocking to even the parents and the mothers from the Munich International School, that a lot of them were so horrified at what happened to me. They even got the school to prevent me from going there, even though I was a parent leadership, a PLTO leader. I was the rep for the first grade and second grade at the Munich International School. He actually had someone transferred into the Munich International School that he was talking to for a while. And guess what they did? they prevented me from going into the school. I'm like, wait a minute, you can't keep me from going on the school premises. I mean, literally, I was stopped at the security desk and said I wasn't allowed in. I'm like, this is insane, the type of control that he had. So anyways, we are now about to go off on a trip, and you will now watch Tammy and Tina, the Project Indigo Justice Collection. And because I didn't want to say this in front of all those people, I'm telling you right now. And I hope to God, Matthias and Joseph out there, you see this video. Because, sorry, but everything you've been told by the Kufners has been a lie. Your family is the Melo family, the Bernardo family, the Costa family, the family that you were with the first 6 years of your life before your father suddenly decided not to travel anymore. And the one who took those pictures. So sorry. Everybody knows about those pictures. And I want you to come home. And don't tell me he's poor. Because he's not poor. Okay, everybody knows he's not poor. You look like fools when you say that. Fools! I raised you to be intelligent human beings and young men who have a heart. I mean, you actually, with human heart, not to be a narcissist. I raised you to have hearts and feelings and caring for human beings. Just like Tina Shelley's daughter. Kimmy, don't you remember? She remembers. Oscar, we have so many people that are ready to tell you the truth. But if you're going to sit there and allow your father to have made you think that I'm the bad person, and I'm the evil person that tried to ruin your family, that kidnapped you, that stole your money, honey, guess what? No, I didn't. He already had emptied out my business account, one of your accounts, and all our bank accounts before he called me and said, let's be friends. And that was when we were living in that house overlooking the Alps in the good Rauchebeck. And I still have those pictures of your birthday party, Matthias. Yeah, that's when the whole thing hit. And yeah, you guys were asking me to help. You didn't want to go to him. You were begging and crying for me not to let you see, not for your father to see you. You were begging and crying for me, telling me all kinds of stories, and I have put those out there. So being a mother, I was trying to protect you. You weren't lying to me back then, but you are lying to me now. And I want you to realize the truth, and I hope you see this video. Enjoy the next few minutes of this video. Ciao, everybody.